What's up everybody, it's your boy George back at it again with another video. Now the 2025 Lunar New Year is here, with this year being the year of the snake, which brings joy, reflection, and renewal. In today's video we'll be going to the History Museum's annual Chinese New Year celebration and diving a little bit into the forgotten Chinese history here in El Paso. You're watching EP Originals. Today we're here in the beautiful Sunset Heights, a historical neighborhood here in El Paso. The Sunset Heights are famously known for its beautiful homes, its stunning views into Juarez, and some of its urban legends. One of the biggest urban legends is that there's tunnels underneath these streets, with many historians believing that there might actually be a tunnel system that connects each house. One house in particular supports this belief, the Turtle House. Now, off the bat, there's nothing special about the Turtle House's appearance other than a concrete turtle that's cemented on the side of the house. It's not until we go into the basement of the Turtle House where we see evidence that supports these claims. You see, the Turtle House's basement is connected to a long hallway that goes underneath the alley above and connects into several different rooms and eventually leads to another tunnel entrance that seems to be sealed off. When this was first discovered, many theories were created. One of the most popular theories was that this was another stash house to Pancho Villa. Pancho Villa was a Mexican revolutionary that often had several stash houses alongside the US-Mexico border, with many people believing this was just another one of those. It wasn't until other historians proposed a different theory. You see, in the mid-1800s, the California Gold Rush brought many immigrants from around the world to work on the transcontinental railroad system that eventually made its way here to El Paso. Many of those immigrants were Chinese laborers and were really instrumental to the early development of El Paso as a city. Once the railroads were finished, on May 6, 1882, the president at the time, Chester A. Arthur, had signed the Chinese Exclusion Act, which was the first law to ever ban a certain race from coming into the United States. Many of these Chinese laborers were stuck on the Juarez side and had to resort to using tunnels to cross over without being detected. These tunnels were rumored to stretch as far as the Rio Grande here to the Sunset Heights district. Around this time, many of the Chinese laborers didn't know how to read or write in English and often had to rely on symbols. That's where the Turtle House gets its name from, because of the concrete turtle on the side of it. In the Chinese culture, the turtle symbolizes peace and kind of like a safe haven, which the Turtle House was for these Chinese laborers once they crossed into the United States. It's said to believe that many of these men didn't stay long here at the Turtle House, just a couple of nights until they continued on with their journey. Another early story about the Turtle House goes back into the early 1920s when a newspaper article called this house the Ghost House, with the story of some of the neighborhood kids breaking into houses and stashing their goods in the basement of the house until they were eventually caught. The owners of the Turtle House Pearl Properties have said before that they hope they could bring some sort of university to come and explore these tunnels and see what's been hiding behind those walls since I believe the 1970s is when they sealed off the main tunnel entrance that is at the end of one of these hallways. I know we've all heard the saying, if these walls could talk, and just imagine the stories that these walls would talk. When we talk about, how instrumental the Chinese were here in El Paso with them, creating the railroad system and helping just the city grow in general with the laundry mats and restaurants, things like that. Turtle House is still being used. You can get an apartment here and everything, with only limited people have access to the basement. So it'll be really cool if one day EP Originals can get, access to the basement. But there's a bunch of videos, know other people have done stories about their turtle house and actually gone into the basement. So we're gonna plug those videos in too, so you can kind of get an idea of what I was talking about, how it's a big hallway that leads into several different rooms. It's like another house down there. And then once you go to the end of that hallway, there's a big tunnel entrance with cinder blocks and concrete and all of that. So it'll be really cool, man. Maybe they said that they sealed them off back in the 1970s, so maybe they found something. Maybe the officials at that time knew how far they would go, but just really interesting to have that here in the Sunset Heights. Did you know at one point El Paso had the largest Chinese community here in Texas? This all began in the 1880s, when many Chinese railroad laborers settled in the area. They created Chinatown, which was south of 4th and Overland Street. This was a community where the laborers could go and practice their customs and speak their native language. Just like we said before at the Turtle House, the Chinese were really instrumental to the early development of El Paso as a city. They worked many jobs, such as laundry service, had their own restaurants, grocery stores, cooks, cleaners. They pretty much did everything that they could. And this put them in direct competition with the Mexican American community when it came to looking for jobs. The living conditions and the social life here were pretty much the same that the Chinese felt all throughout other places in the country at the time. Housing was overcrowded, sanitary conditions were poor, and there was only ever a handful of women in these communities, kind of making it hard for them to reproduce and grow. It wasn't up until the United States started passing laws that started banning Chinese immigration that El Paso became kind of like an underground passageway for many immigrants crossing over from Mexico into the United States. For example, the Turtle House. Many of these immigrants didn't stay in the area for long. Some had wishes of going back to China with their families, but the ones that did stay here kind of made their own customs and married Mexican women, had children, and kind of makes sense. When I was growing up, I always got mistaken for being Filipino or having some Asian in my family, so maybe if I were to go back and trace my bloodline, my heritage, I'll probably find some Chinese actually in my family from around those times. Another story was that during the Mexican Revolution, General John J. Pershing, when he led his expedition to go look for Pancho Villa, they ran out of supplies, they were outnumbered, and some of the Chinese immigrants that were over there in Mexico helped them, and when they returned to the United States, this was a big turning point for General Pershing to position to Congress for them to given citizenship, these brave men who were able to help them. Growing up here, I always thought that El Paso was just mainly Hispanic, but there's so much forgotten history that we have here. Every time I come down here downtown and I look at these beautiful buildings, I'm gonna have a different appreciation now. Crazy to think that every time I come down here to San Jacinto Plaza, never really thought that it was part of a Chinatown that was once here in El Paso. In a couple of days, we're gonna be going to the History Museum's Lunar New Year celebration. Gonna go and get some footage of that, but definitely just wanted to come and showcase the forgotten Chinatown here in downtown El Paso. So that's the end of the video, guys. Thank you for watching. Please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Make sure to hit the notification bell so whenever we drop new videos, you'll be the first to watch. And happy Lunar New Year. It's your boy George. Till next episode. Peace.